Okay, so we got a few changes coming to how we do things in the classroom. I had a suggestion from a couple of students who said, hey, can you, rather than have us do a what we should have learned video, can you make it at the beginning of the week and say tell us what we need to learn, and then we can fill out that chart, and then you can help us from there. So that's how we're going to do this from now on. I thought that was a great idea. So this week, instead of this is what you should have learned, this is what I want you to learn as you go through the Civil Rights chapter. Okay, our focus is going to be how the government and the Constitution furthers civil rights. Okay, so we just got done studying civil liberties. Civil liberties is how the law is supposed to, how the government is supposed to treat you. Civil rights is how the law is supposed to treat you. And everybody's supposed to be treated the same under the law. So civil rights laws are supposed to protect people against arbitrary or discriminatory treatment by government officials or individuals. Okay? So that involves racial discrimination, gender discrimination, discrimination based on age, disability, sexual orientation, and other factors as well. So usually it's country of origin or religion and so forth. So discrimination basically under the law is illegal in the United States. That's not saying it doesn't happen, because it does. And I know you'll have the same questions that students have had in the past. What if somebody feels like their civil rights are being violated? Well, they do what anybody else would do under our Constitution. They can sue under a law saying my civil rights were violated and so forth. Okay? Here's the thing, though. The Constitution does not make any reference to equality. Okay, that's something that's been added into amendments after the Constitution was ratified. Okay, our government our Constitution is designed to protect natural rights. Okay, now what does equality mean? Okay, everybody. I think most Americans feel that everybody should have the equality of opportunity. Okay? Lately, there's been a lot of focus on equality between groups. Okay? So, everybody gets to the start line at once, and then you fire the gun, and whoever, wins at the end is the winner. Don't know if that's the reality, because obviously if somebody is born into a wealthy family, they certainly have way more opportunities than somebody who is, born into poverty. If you have somebody that's born, into a white family, they may have more privileges than somebody that's born into a Native American family and that's born into poverty on a reservation, isolated in a reservation. So I don't know how true this. I think it's an idea, not so much a reality, that we have equality of opportunity. Just because you pass a law saying everybody should be equal, or everybody is equal, doesn't mean that everybody's going to be treated equally. Okay. In a couple minutes, we're going to look at this thing called affirmative action. Okay. This is where you start to get some controversy over, well, what does it mean to have equality of opportunity? Is affirmative action the same thing as equality of opportunity? And then what about results? If everybody is at the starting line and everybody has the same opportunity, shouldn't everybody finish the race at the same time? There's a lot of question regarding that as well. Okay, but our focus is going to be, how has the national government furthered civil rights? Okay, the first time it did this was the 14th Amendment, which you've taken a look at before. The 14th Amendment was not only aimed at giving citizenship to freed slaves, but also it says that everybody has the right to due process. That includes the federal government and how the state governments deal with people. Due process is the procedure that people go through under the government. The government procedures have to treat everybody the same. Okay? Equal protection. Everybody has to be treated equally under the law. That's part of the 14th Amendment. And then privileges and immunities. All citizens of all states have the same rights. So you can't have, a group in California have different rights than a group in, that lives in Iowa. These rights under the Constitution apply to everybody in every state equally. Okay, again, these are ideas. Sometimes they aren't practiced that way. Okay, other amendments that added to civil rights. The 15th Amendment said the right to vote cannot be denied by race. The 19th Amendment gave voting to women, women's suffrage. Okay, the 24th Amendment abolished the poll taxes. Poll taxes were used in the South to keep African Americans from voting. It was a tax that it was an arbitrary tax that somebody had to pay to vote. So I'm recording this on election day. If we had a poll tax, they might tell somebody who is a minority, hey, it's $25 for you to vote. I don't have $25. Well, then, sorry, you can't vote. And I might come up as a white guy, and they'll say, it'll be 10 cents, please. And, pull out 10 cents, and I get to vote. It was used to keep minorities from voting. Okay, that there are no taxes, poll taxes anymore. That was abolished by the 24th Amendment. Okay, there have been laws that have been passed. The biggie is the 1964 Civil Rights Act that was passed in response to the civil rights movement, especially in the March on Washington. Okay, the March on Washington, where Martin Luther King Jr. Gave his "I Have a Dream" speech, really put a push towards passing this law. It not only covered race, but also sex, so it said that women couldn't be discriminated against, national origin, and religion as well. Okay? The big thing, though, is it got rid of Jim Crow. The Jim Crow laws were, segregation laws were deemed unconstitutional, illegal under the 64 Civil Rights Act. Okay? They actually used the Commerce Clause to do this because most interactions where, it's a restaurant or it's a hotel, the federal government, any commerce that crosses state lines, the federal government has control over that. So they use that power to say, hey, if you're involved in interstate commerce, we're now saying that you cannot practice segregation. And that was practically every business in the United States. So Jim Crow was wiped out by the 64 Civil Rights Act. Sexual harassment was outlawed, and it said that women and men had to be paid equally for the same job. Okay? I'm sorry, this should say the 1965 Voting Rights Act. That's a misprint on my part when I was putting this together. 65 Voting Rights Act. That was in response to the Selma to Montgomery March. Have you ever seen the video of John Lewis, who recently passed away, at the foot of the Edmund Pettus Bridge? He led a march for Voting Rights Act, for voting rights for African Americans in the South. He was beaten. His skull was cracked open and so forth, and he had a major concussion. After that debacle of peaceful protests being beaten by police, the national government said, all right, we need to pass a Voting Rights Act, and it was passed in 1965. It said that states that have historically used poll taxes and literacy tests and so forth couldn't do that anymore. So it brought about equality in not only voting but also registering to vote as well. And because of that, in the South, there was a huge increase in the amount of blacks that were registered to vote. There's something called Title IX. This deals with women in response to the women's rights movement. In 1973, Title IX was passed, and Title IX said that you had to have equality in education. So whenever there was an opportunity for men in education, it had to be the same opportunity for women. Okay, and this applies to our sports in our schools. We have to have the same amount of varsity men's and women's sports in our schools. And there's many other things that it applied to, but like I said, men and women had to be treated equally in education. Okay, moving on to affirmative action. This was created in the 60s and 70s, and affirmative action is always difficult for students to understand because it's not a specific program, but it's designed to give what have historically been disadvantaged minorities, women, African Americans, Latinos, Native Americans, and so forth, to give them a step up in society to bring about more equality in our society. Okay, it's used in education. It's used in jobs. Those of you that have filled out a job application, they ask you what your race is, and they pretty much make you check something off. A business has to report that to the federal government, so they know that that business is not discriminating in hiring. Okay? Now, what this is not a quota, a set-aside quota, and we'll talk about that in just a second. It's just that businesses and educational institutions, when they admit people or hire people, can take into account the fact that these groups have historically been discriminated against. It basically puts pressure on educational institutions and businesses to help bring about equality in our society. Okay? This was made constitutional in 1978 under the Regency University of California versus Bakke. That's how you pronounce that, Bakke. A lot of people say Bake or Bakey. It's Bakke. And that University of California had one of their medical schools, they had a certain amount of admission set aside for women and African Americans and so forth. That is a racial quota. Those are unconstitutional under the federal Constitution, under the 14th Amendment. Okay. However, race can be considered in admissions. Okay. So if it's an institution that have historically discriminated against women, they can, a college can say, we're going to try to admit more women, so we can make up for that past discrimination. Okay. And recently, there have been more groups added under the Civil Rights umbrella. Senior citizens. In 1975, the federal government passed an Age Discrimination Act, saying that you can't treat somebody who's 55 differently from somebody who's 35 in the job, in the workplace. Okay, you can't fire somebody specifically because, well, they're going to retire in 3 years. We're tired of paying them. We're gonna pay somebody who's younger less than them. So we're gonna fire them and hire somebody who's 25 years old. Okay, that's against the law. People with disabilities, the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, was passed in 1990, and this made a lot of places have to look at their accommodations and fix those accommodations to help those with disabilities. For instance, if you have a multi-floor building and you have no elevator in the building, you got to put one in for people in wheelchairs. You can't expect them to get up the steps in a wheelchair. And ramps and so forth, and a lot of that was required by the ADA. Okay, there's LGBTQ rights that have been relatively recently added to this century into the Constitution under the 14th Amendment. Okay, the first case that did that was a case called Lawrence versus Texas. We'll talk about this more later on in the year, but a private homosexual act in Texas was against the law, and 2 people got arrested under that, and they said it violates their 14th Amendment right to privacy, and they won. Okay, and then the big one is Obergefell versus Hodges, which used the 14th Amendment to legalize same-sex marriage in all 50 states. So you see the 14th Amendment, even though it was passed right after the Civil War, is still used today to help bring equality amongst groups in the United States. Okay, so go through this. As you're going through this, I hope you were filling out the what I understand and what I need to understand parts of this. Okay? All right, if you have any questions, come into office hours or send me an email.